All right, everybody. So welcome back to My First White Dwarf, and I'm joined here with Jay from the United States. Hi, Jay. How you going?
Hey, good, Josh.
We're
How
going
about
to go
yourself?
through. Yeah, good, mate. I'm really good. I've actually had about like 4 hours sleep because we had a massive thunderstorm rolling through our area here last night, so I didn't get much sleep. But I think the brightness of this cover of 197 is going to wake me up with these glorious looking magical wood elves here, mate.
Oh man, this cover took me back when you kind of put out the call for finding your first white dwarf. I went digging in the giant box that I have them all in, and I remember this one just because this really set off the hobby for me. So I love it. I love this cover. I love the wood elf cover that came with it. But yeah, this one was magical.
Yep, it's got some wonderful, very yellow, which is unusual. Maybe it reminds me of like the Battle Magic set from fourth edition. It was like really yellow and orangey that
Yeah.
Dave did for that as well. So yeah, no, really cool looking cover. It's got a whole lot of stuff packed in this issue because this is when they sort of really went all out and they just did these massive, 200-page issues or whatever they were back in the day.
Yep.
So we've got yeah, looks like we've got some contributors from stores or whatever with their marine armies featured in this issue, and some Necromunda goodness. We've got some Escher fighting off some spires in this little inside cover section here. We've got Mad Donna up there.
Yeah. So that was one mini that sadly I didn't get during kind of the initial release. And then they kind of did a limited re-release of some stuff recently. And so I had missed that, but I picked it up for cheap by somebody that had bought a whole ton of them on eBay. So I was excited for that because Necromunda was definitely my first kind of like tabletop game. And so that's when I was getting into it too. So yeah, no, it's a good one. But yeah, Escher classic. And the heavy plasma cannon hidden back there is always
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, I like the face mask that she had on her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, now we've got the editorial here. Now, of course, Jake Thornton was the editor at this time, Adrian Wood being the production editor. And we had some familiar faces there with Gavin Thorpe, Ian Pickstock, and Steve Anastas. Oh, I'm going to mess this one up. Anastasov. I think I've got that right. I don't know. I could, I could be totally wrong there, Steve. I'm really sorry if I butchered your last name, but I probably did. But yeah, this is the new look for the White Dwarf. And featured in this one, we've got, of course, the Wood Elf release. This is actually the time when I was working in the studio. So this sort of
Oh
brings
yeah.
good memories for me. Yeah. When I first joined the studio, then they were working on the Wood Elf book. So I got fortunately to got to see a lot of the miniatures being actually painted by those wonderful painters in the Heavy Metal team.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, we've got Warriors of Lauren. So it looks like we've got some uh, some like an article on Wood Elves. We've got For They Shall Know No Fear. That's the one that they got all these guys bringing in their marine chapters,
Hmm.
their own sort of marine chapters and that kind of thing, which is quite cool.
I always dug when they did that because like the heavy metal stuff was amazing, and it was cool too just seeing some of the people, even phenomenal quality or even kind of the middling quality. I think was made it a lot more accessible, or a lot kind of got the creative juices flowing because kind of pre-internet you didn't get to see a lot of other stuff other than and the local kind of game shop and the people that you were playing with. So it was neat when you saw some of the less official things that were kind of going on. It gave some cool insights.
Yeah, for sure, mate. It sort of brought it back to like a realistic level.
Yeah.
Saw some of the guys that were not as talented as the heavy metal guys, and they didn't have all day to paint, and they weren't getting paid for it. So
Right.
yeah. Um, so we've got some new releases here for the Redemptionists. Did you play the Redemptionists back in the day, mate?
So Necromunda, I had an unhealthy obsession with. It was my first game. I got introduced to kind of the miniature hobby through Necromunda, and kind of fell really hardcore into it. Ended up working at a shop for a while, and I ran probably 12, 15 different Necromunda leagues over kind of the 6 months a year. Even as it was getting phased out, I was doing the ordering for the Games Workshop for the shop that we were doing. So I told the people, like, if anything gets returned or whatever, like, we'll buy it. And we were using that to kind of supply kind of our ongoing league. So I've got a lot of Necromunda stuff still in blisters from back in that day when I bought it up. But no, I've never played them. I played against them, and they're on my list of things to paint. But yeah, wildly fun. I just the over the top kind of everything on fire, flaming cloaks. I thought it was great.
Awesome. So if you're wondering why I got a job at the heavy metal team, they were desperate because they're still looking for new heavy metal team staff. They were desperate, giving the pathetic wages they were offering people at the time. So
yeah, I saw one of your or saw and listened to one of your podcasts where you're kind of talking about that and being kind of the low, men on the totem pole, which really is a shame because I think, with so much of your stuff, you brought people in just by those beautiful painted miniatures. So
yeah, I've got to ask Mike, because Mike McVeigh is now on Instagram, and that's caused quite a stir now on the social media scene. And I've contacted him about doing an interview, and I really hope and pray to the Emperor that he will come on. He's still unsure about it, but I'd really be interested to pick his brain about, like the wage level inequality within the studio, and whether he got paid a lot more than the regular guys, which I assume he would do. He had his own little office, and he worked on his own personal projects. So, it'd be interesting to see what his thoughts on that were.
Yeah.
Now we've got Durthu, and I've faced Durthu a couple of times. Justin, my good mate Justin here in Japan, brings him along and smashes me to smithereens with him.
Oh, I love the Tree Men. And I think the funny thing was, I got started with Necromunda. I had a couple of friends that played Warhammer. So, that great 4th edition box set they had, one of them was real big into the orcs and goblins and was playing that. And the other one was playing dwarves. And so I was trying to figure out, like, what am I going to play? So I was going through, I actually wanted to do chaos dwarves, but they were kind of on the way out at this one. And so the guy in the shop really strongly recommended against that. And this was the issue that came out. I collected like little bits and bobs of different things, but I saw these and I saw those Tree Men and just the cover, and I was just sold. Like, I fell in love with this army and wanted to do it. And I love that toughness 7 and being able to, like, smash into things, not really take damage, those giant tree trunk, spearmen. Just beautiful.
Yeah, they're very chunky. These are the Ali Morrison design for the Wood Elves. Yeah, I was sort of in two minds about them. Yeah, I've never really had a fondness for elves generally, if I'm to be really honest. But I've got a nostalgic love for them now. Looking back, I think they look pretty cool now.
Oh yeah. Well, if you go back one of the things that I think is one page there that I love that's kind of hidden in there is that converted Warhammer Quest elf that they had done into kind of the army standard bearer that gets shown in a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That I thought was just a great mini, and that actually I used that mini for my general with a bow of Lauren and all that kind of potion of strength, that good stuff, just sitting in the back sniping. But yeah, no, those Tree Men were just things of beauty.
Yeah, I still can't shake the love of the Jez Goodwin Wood Elves, the 3rd edition. I think they're still and Mike McVeigh's Wood Elf Army is still my all-time favorite. That's some really beautiful models in it. But I think a good mix of those between Jez's and Ali's, and of course Gary Morley. You can't forget Gary's contribution to the Wood Elves as well.
Very true.
During that time. But yeah, I think a good mix of those, you'd get a really nice blend of different styles. There's a lot of Gary's stuff here, actually.
Yep. And I think they work really well together. That was one of the things, the Scarlock's archers, that like amazing standard with a tiny dagger and kind of the standard that she was holding up. I use that as a mage in there because, it just works perfectly. And I think the there wasn't such a huge leap between the styles that they didn't work, especially when they were painted by the same person. So I really like that between the Elves of kind of the 3rd edition and this, 4th, 5th, middle ground that the Wood Elf book landed in.
Yeah, sorry to go through the pages so quickly, but we've got 138 pages to cover, and we're at page 17.
Oh, I know. Well, and I realized that this one's the Australian one. I think the US version was a little bit shorter, but not a ton.
Interesting.
Yeah, we got
So yeah, I don't know the differences because I'm obviously from Australia, and I think at this time I was working obviously in the UK. But I didn't really notice there was a big difference or I didn't know that there was a difference between the different countries' editions of the.
Mostly in the ads and the different stuff. This art though is just top notch. Like, the War Dancer champion that they've got there, just kind of the deep spooky, stuff in Nightmares, where it went so well with the lore in the book, where they were talking about wandering in and just kind of the nightmare fuel that the living things and these elves hiding from the shadows, picking you apart as you went through. Just outstanding.
And Trish Morrison, of course, responsible for designing the best treeman ever made, and these giant eagles as well, which I recently picked up thanks to Marcel, my good man in Germany. Apparently there's going for $10 a dozen over there.
That's great.
I couldn't get one at all over here or anywhere locally or through the UK or anything like that. But apparently in Germany, if you're looking for giant eagles, you'll find a bucket full of those over there. So I finally landed one. They're gorgeous models.
Yeah,
really
I'm working on high elves and kind of recreating the Wood Elf army that I sold off foolishly back in the day. So I've got the eagle set for that now. There's a better shot later, but that tree on the far right hand side, that like arched Wood Elf entryway, I love that. I've got to make that one of these days. It's just so great.
Cool. Now we've got a bit of advertising here for 40K 2nd edition. We'll just skip through that.
Yep.
Now, for they shall know no fear. So this is the, I believe, without having actually going through the article, but I believe these are contributions from staff members.
Kind of talking about personalizing, getting away from everything's Dark Angels or Ultramarines, whatever. So some fun kind of stuff, subtle conversions, all that, which was great.
It looks like we've got White Panthers here in this particular one from Matthew Jones. Okay, very cool. Did I miss a page? No, I didn't.
No, it's just a short one.
So here we go. Not heavy metal. This is Adrian Wood, how to paint models my way. Okay, so Adrian goes through his process, which I'd imagine will be sort of pretty rough and ready, the quickest way possible.
Yep. I do miss those paint pots. Oh,
me too, mate. Me too. Yeah. If you're lucky enough, you will find them. Someone will have them for sale they've found them somewhere in storage. Yep. Or one guy, I think maybe Ben found some in the States, just in some kind of secondhand shop. In one of the trays there or one of the bins, and you could find them somewhere. You could be really lucky because the paints still hold up. I've still got paints that were kindly sent to me by Matthias from that was the generation before the hex pots, and they're still perfect. They're still fine.
Those round ones.
Yep.
Those are great too.
Yeah. So we can see some of the Marine Legions in action there. The White Panthers there fighting off the Teal board.
Oh, those big, everything about this era, right? You get those big sweeping battle scenes, you get the art like this, Dark Angel. It's so great. And it really cut to the imagination and just gave some great stuff. And then this one, the Hazard Stripes. I can't even get over it. I love this game so much.
Yeah.
Oh, we working in the shop, I think I personally bought like 2 or 3 box sets just for the terrain. And so,
Wow.
we would play games just jam packed with it, which is perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, we're hoping to get back into Necromunda soon. So hopefully getting the right deal on some Escher or some other gang members.
Oh yeah.
I think Paul's got a couple of gangs we can start playing anyway. But yeah, I'm rather keen on getting my Escher back again.
Those grand tournament rules there were interesting because like the second edition 40K and the fourth edition fantasy, not really the most competitive or I think interest in balanced games. So it was interesting to kind of see what they had done as far as limiting special characters, taking out third level magic, all this different stuff to make it more competitive. And working at a shop, we actually use these when we would do like local tournaments in there. So it made it, more competitive, took out some kind of the big, cheese swing stuff that would cause problems. But
all right, now this is something I got to play yesterday with another one of your compatriots, Chris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he hosted a game on us for Discord. Warhammer Quest. So really, it was the first time I really actually played Warhammer Quest. So it was really good fun.
That's awesome.
Experience with that, mate, at all?
So I own Warhammer Quest, and I've never played it. I haven't. I realized I had picked over some of the stuff. That's where I got my general from, was plucking it out of there. And I just had gotten it with the intent to play it, one of these years, and just never did, and it got tucked away. And I just actually busted it out, and I've been putting together the pieces that I'm missing, because I've got the core box, I've got the layer of the Orc Lord, and I've got a good handful of the character packs too. So that's one that I want to paint up and play. I've got two little kids, but one is turning 7 here, and the other one's 2. So I think I got enough time to paint it up before they'd be able to play. But I think that would be a fun one for my wife and I and them to play together as a fam.
For sure, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really good, fun, fairly straightforward, easy kind of system. And I didn't know about it. It's all cooperative play, which is amazing. Yep. So I really love that aspect to it. So we can all play together. We're not playing against versus a GM or anything like that. So yeah, very much.
They've got those rules, but I think it was so ahead of its time, like way before like Gloomhaven or these different procedural generated ones. I think it really did it well and captured the flavor and the fun and the wackiness of kind of this more goofy era of Warhammer, which I love.
Plus, you had all the item cards on cards, and the spell cards were on cards, and I love all that. I love all the tangible elements of the game where you have actual cards representing everything, which is so cool. But I've enjoyed
watching some of the playthroughs. Guerrilla Miniatures has done some, but yeah, the ability that you have to die like trying to leave town is just you can't take it too seriously, which I think is good.
Yeah. Now we've got some Ratskin Renegades here. Another gang I'm pretty interested in playing or seeing on the table. They look really cool.
So the best thing about these is that there were optional rules for like hazards in the Outlander supplement. And Ratskins just ignored them. They were immune. They were so used to it that, everything. And so the way that the rules were written is if one person wanted to use them, you had to use the hazards. But if both people agreed, they could say, we don't want to do it. And so as the Ratskin player, that was like your number one weapon, because all of a sudden you could have, complete darkness. So people can't see more than 12, inches away, and they're just able to stay out of range. And it provided a really interesting, mechanic that was a lot of fun, whenever you had them in the league.
And look at that terrain. The studio terrain for Necromunda was just amazing. It looks like they actually made their own bulkheads. They weren't the actual plastic ones. They actually made them.
So I was curious about that, and I didn't know whether you being around had insight if this was was just bulking it out, because it seems like there were times it was very similar, but there were other ones where it was like cut and it's like cardstock behind, and I mean you can see like the cereal box and the Pringles tubes types of things.
Yeah.
But no, I love the look of it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see much of the terrain at all, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
Because I loved all the studio terrain. I don't even know where it was. I don't know where they kept it. So maybe I did see it and I just forgot about it. It's a long time ago now. So,
Yeah.
but anyhow, we saw the Redemptionist release, and we've got the Imperial Guard box sets here as well. Classic Perry's.
Oh yeah.
Is it great?
The Iron Guard, the Acadians. Yeah, no, just those different, world packs was
Yep.
always so much fun.
Yep. Very much so. There we go. Masterclass by Mike McVeigh.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got Neil Hodgson. Now, Neil Hodgson was it now second Heavy Metal Memories Part 2 podcast. So go and check that out if you haven't listened to it yet, because you can hear Neil and Dave Torben talking about their time at working at the studio in the Heavy Metal team.
Yeah.
And he actually reflected on this because this was the first time he did like a non-metallic metal on Dante for the Blood Angels here.
Yeah, I remember that made, again, like we're so spoiled now. You can watch, 27 different YouTube painters that are amazing, like teaching you this. But like here, you had the people in your shop that were good painters that you could learn from, or you would have White Dwarf, or some of these other like modeling things, but it wasn't really as dedicated. So it was pretty crazy when all of a sudden it's like non-metallic metal, coming out and just seeing this. Yeah, it was mind blowing.
Yeah, for sure, mate. So now painting horses, that's a good one. I think most people will struggle with painting horses. So that could be a good way. I think they had another. Oh, here we go. So you got like a part by part thing that Mike used to paint this horse. Because colors can be a problem or problematic with people, or what colors they should paint horses realistically or whatever. But
for sure. Well, in the gap filling too, I learned this was the issue where playing Wood Elves with Glade Riders. That I was like, oh yeah, I know how to fill gaps. I'm a pro. I read that one time. So no, it was fun. And these conversions, like that was a part of the hobby that I think playing Necromunda, where you were doing weapon swaps and prosthetics as people get injuries and whatever was real big. So I always love that part of the hobby.
Then we've got Paul Muller. I really like Paul's style. He had a really unique style to his painting. Very like highly contrasted, like from really dark to really light. So yeah, he was an amazing painter. But of course now he's a miniature designer. He worked for Games Workshop as a miniature designer for Gorka Morka.
Oh yeah.
And he runs his own company. I don't know exactly what he does now full time, but I don't know if he does it full time now. But I think he's still in Nottingham and he still works in the industry. So
that's great.
Yeah, but really good painter. Oh, here we go. We've got some cards here for your. You've got the Treeman card, the fallen down Treeman. But I thought that was in the 5th edition box set.
Well, it was, but this is you got to remember this is the tail end of 4th.
Right. So that's right.
So yeah. So Wood Elves were technically 4th edition.
That's right.
But they were kind of designed for this. So yeah, you got that up ahead, and then you've got these great Warhammer Quest event cards ready to pop into your deck.
Amazing, isn't it? It's amazing that you thought that you had actual cards. They gave you this kind of stuff in the White Dwarves and like thing. I presume that's for 40k or Necromunda.
This Space Hulk actually. This was
Space Hulk. Wow.
Yeah, you got vents because it wasn't aliens enough just by the design of it. You had to actually they're in the vents.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, to get hold of issues like this with all the card stock still in it will be pretty hard to do.
Oh yeah.
Epic, one of my favorite games of all time. This is during the time of Titan Legions. Did you have any experience with Titan Legions at all, man?
I didn't. So this was, again, working in a shop. I ended up buying a lot of stuff that I never played. But I got into Epic when it was re-released. Kind of the strips, not the squares.
Ah, yes. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
But I never did more than kind of the demo games and messed around with it. So, but yeah, I've watched some of your Epic games, so it looks like a blast. But yeah, just nothing I had.
Right. Okay. If you can try to get a game with somebody locally to try it out, please try to do it.
Oh, for sure.
They've got Warhammer Quest here, the Lost Kingdoms. Okay. I think we'll just quickly cover that. But it looks like it's got rules for because it's got a Man of War picture there of a dwarf ironclad. So it looks like you've got some kind of naval locations or something. I don't know, like a harbor location. So
they did lots of stuff. Like there were episodes of how to travel. This one was like seafaring. There was another one later on how to like take your Warhammer Quest characters onto the Warhammer Fantasy battlefield, which was kind of cool. Like this special character that you've been rolling through dungeons, and now you can be like a Lord level character, which is pretty neat.
I love how they did like some kind of trick perspective here. They got like a Man of War ship, Bretonnian galleon in the background, and they've got all the characters here facing these savage orcs in the front, in the foreground. I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah.
So there you go. I had no idea that you could take to the ocean in Warhammer Quest. That's amazing.
Yeah, they did a pretty amazing job, in this era, just kind of supporting some of these other games and just kind of furthering, these mini expansions that I think later got pushed more and more into the journal or, kind of these specialty magazines as they did. But this was a pretty cool golden era of, just kind of freebies.
Yeah, there's no mistaking this is the Australian issue because it's listing all the.
None of these are in mine.
And then you got here a red hot Australia. So it always was hot as hell. But our paint survived. Our paint survived. There you go. It's just testament to how good those paints were. They survived the harshest Queensland summers. So that they've been tried and tested. I can tell you.
Yep. Oh, that's great.
Okay, so we're going to skip through these because it's not all that important.
Sure.
So we've got the Watchstones of Sapphire here. Now this is the store kind of thing. Like you go to the store and you get to fight out the big Dark Elf High Elf battles and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. I loved, we had those where we would host them. The bring-in battles were just tons of fun. You'd have people sign up to bring 500 points and then just be part of a big battle. Just great. And that scenery, right? I think however well your army is painted, if you're playing with a fully painted army on a table with scenery, like it's a magical experience. Nothing in this hobby compares to that. Like I think too many people get fixated on like perfection in painting, so they'll paint like one or two units like perfectly, but I think just having the full pageantry of it all, as ridiculous as that sound is, just it's amazing. I love it.
Did you hear this? Did you hear the story about that High Elf Tower?
No.
The High Elf Castle thing or the Watchtower?
Yeah.
Apparently it was part of the skip incident where they threw a lot of stuff out and it went into the skip, and someone retrieved it, and actually someone on the Oldhammer Facebook group has actually got that model now. It's got that terrain piece, but why on earth they threw it into a skip is just beyond any kind of rational thinking. I just don't know why they did that. But a lot of stuff went into the skip, mate. That's the reality of it.
Oh, we all have bonehead moments, right?
Well, as a company, I think they should have just given it away to the stores, or they should just given it away to people and say, "Here you go. Take this. You can use it in your own battlefields." Why throw it in the bin? I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
So, and all that craftsmanship and hard work that went into those models,
sure,
just went out of just in the trash. It's just crazy.
I'm glad somebody has it.
Yeah, I'm really glad someone's got it and they're usually using it and all that. So that's awesome. So Gary Morley, of course, another person I got to interview. Thank you very much, Gary, for that. Talking about the many faces of Gary Morley, of course, the one most famous face that he designed was Nagash.
Yeah, which you have now, right?
I do. Thank you very much, Gary. Yeah, he sent me. Not only did he send me Nagash, but he sent me the tin, the original model they used when they did the first casting. So there's only one of those, I believe. So I've got the finest detailed Nagash you'll ever find.
I'm so excited to see you paint that up.
Me too.
Yeah,
he said, "Have you started painting that Nagash yet?" And I said, "Mate, I haven't. I've got so many things I've got on my painting desk at the moment. I really want to do a video and like really do it justice, like do the whole thing. From the time where I'm taking it out of the pack, cleaning it up, priming it, painting it, and do a whole series of videos or like a one big video on it. I think
for sure.
that'll do it justice, I think. So
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like he's doing some stuff here for Necromunda. So it's converting and
Yep.
his own models. And of course, Gary, if you listen to the interview, he's a massive Blood Bowl fan.
Yep.
And so this is his Norse Blood Bowl team.
Yeah, it was great. He sculpted it, and then they released it, which it was a great team.
In those wonderful poses with the fists pumping and and all that. So yeah, it's funny. Look at all these sculpting. Oh, well, there you go. If you're looking at sculpting miniatures, maybe this is a good article to learn how the guys did it, what tools they use, what materials.
Yeah, I mean, he gets into it just at a high level, but it was pretty cool, and just realizing how much stuff he worked at, that big, like oversized Blood Bowl figure that he did, for the games day, open competition.
Yep.
More head swaps. Yeah, no, it was just some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, really cool. So it really features a lot of his stuff he's painted himself. There you go.
Yep.
Good work there. Mr. Morley, I didn't know you actually had a lot of painted stuff, so it was nice to see that. In his Gorka Morka conversions and paint jobs. Very cool.
Yeah, that was another fun, wacky game that they did.
Yeah, never played it, mate. Never played it. So, I have no idea about it, actually.
If you enjoy just kind of the chaos and the humor, of it all, I think it's a really fun one to do. So vehicular Mad Max, style combat with orcs. Right. Can't really go wrong.
They had some really unusual basing and that kind of thing. I remember that, like seeing the models now.
So. Yeah, the little rugby ball shaped bases, so you could shove more of them onto a track. And the greatest rule that GW has ever written, where if a model fell off the transport, it fell off in game and then would take like the falling damage and whatever. Perfect.
So the bases weren't really suited for stability, were they? So
no, but it was done so you could shove more of them onto the transporters and have more orcs, zipping around.
Right.
Yeah, it was great, wacky fun.
So sorry guys, we're just going to skim through. This is like a Rick Priestley article about using like barrage type weapons for your Imperial Guard in 40k. We've got a Space Hulk advertisement now. I was lucky to play through all 6 missions of this thanks to Chris again in the States.
Nice.
Yeah. He's got a fully painted set. Really nice game. It restored my faith and love in Space Hulk, as before it sort of got tarnished with 3rd edition and some unsavory, very stressful games of Space Hulk. And this restored it completely, in that you can have fun playing Space Hulk and have some really good moments and really memorable missions. So really cool. Did you play Space Hulk at all, Jay?
I had a buddy who had it, and so played a bit. Not painted, not anything like that, but I know most people have a love of the 1st edition. But for me, just like the look of this one, that's the one I would do. So I could see doing that and, doing some of the, the rules and checking that from the previous edition. But I love the look of this.
Well, me and Chris will at some point cover Space Hulk second edition in a podcast at some point in the future. So I look forward to sitting down with him and talking about that and looking at the rule changes from 1st to 2nd and that kind of thing. All right, so here we go. Richard Gunson, the boss. He was my boss, and Dean Clayton. Now this is a store I worked in. So this is the Oxford store.
Oh yeah,
this is a nice surprise. 2 guys I worked with. One was my boss, and one was a good mate, Dean, who recently got in contact through Facebook, and so it's really good to see he's doing well and had a newborn baby recently. So congratulations, Dean. But mate, he's a massive Blood Angels fan. Huge, like just insane Blood Angels boy.
Oh, I love it.
So now these are the guys I work with. Wow, amazing. Okay.
Oh yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, because as I said, I hadn't really looked through this issue, but there's at least 3 people, 4 people, 5 people I know there. 6 people, in fact, that I worked with when I worked at the Oxford store in the Plaza in London. So that brought back a lot of good memories just looking at
Fun.
that. Richard had this massive, beautifully painted Dwarf and Goblin army, which I believe is there. Featured
That is
there.
gorgeous.
He's a really good painter, and he got a lot of the studio guys to paint for him. Like he commissioned guys to paint his armies and that kind of thing as well. So,
those Savage Orc shields with the stripes, and putting the Savage Orc shaman on the wyvern. Yeah. There's lots of fun conversions in there. That's beautiful.
Yep. And I actually got to play against that army with his dwarf army. So that was pretty amazing. Yeah. He kicked my ass though. But really good fun. And Joe, my good mate Joe, worked with him. He's a really good painter, really talented miniature painter. I got in touch with him as well through Facebook recently as well. So it's really good to make contact with him after all these years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, been really good, mate. Yeah, been getting in touch with the old crew. But yeah, again, a lot of talented painters in the store. So really good modelers and painters there. But it was the flagship of Games Workshop. It was the major store there. So yeah, really cool. I didn't expect to see this article, so I'm really happy to see that. Now, the Battle for Brunkman's Brewery. We played something very similar recently, but this looked like a fun event to go to. Were you involved in any of the events at all, mate? Store events?
Yeah. So we did some of our own. And then I know that they had done some kind of bigger ones later in kind of 5th edition, where they would have, big bring-in battles and, report how the fights went, for good or evil. And they were kind of tracking that. So, but yeah, no, store events were always a blast, just getting people in and, kind of hyping it up, and an excuse to play Warhammer at work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The person who knows more about Warhammer and the wackiness of Warhammer and how to provide that wackiness is, of course, Nigel Stillman.
Yeah.
Really, really good guy. Again, left the biggest impression on me in the studio. That guy is just amazing. So my dream would be to interview him at some stage, but I think he's a bit of a recluse, and I don't think that will ever be possible. But I hope to meet him one day at the Oldhammer event. Bring Out Your Lead.
That'd be great. Yeah.
He's actually been there. So he's been to Bring Out Your Lead before. So be really cool to catch up with him and have a chat with him.
Definitely.
He's still crazy. He's still absolutely mad hatter crazy. So it'd be really fun be a really funny conversation to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I appreciated his, the Stillmania and kind of his philosophy on playing the game.
Yeah.
And just how to do it. But yeah, I think that would be a fun conversation for you to have. Whether or not he's willing to record it, I think that would be great for you.
Yeah, I know he's done some like written kind of like someone sent him emails and he's responded through interviews and that kind of thing. But as an actual audio email podcast, maybe it probably will never happen. But we're going to have to take a quick break as Zoom is going to run out very shortly. So let's take a quick break to renew our energy, and we'll come back in just a second to cover the second half of this massive issue. So stay tuned. So let's start from this page here. This is the Space Hulk Defilement of Honor.
Yeah.
So this is where we use the vents, yeah?
Yep. So again, just as a fun freebie to add in there, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's got a mission here, Stop the Tide. That's good. I didn't actually realize. I know they had a Dark Angel and Space Wolf missions for these as well. So yeah, they did expand it slightly. Well, a lot more than 3rd edition. 3rd edition had no expansions whatsoever. So
right.
At least 2nd edition did have a few extra missions and that kind of thing. They did to support it. So that was good.
Were there 2 rounds of the 3rd edition though? One that had a few more issues or missions in it, I thought.
Oh, really? So this is the other second release they did. They brought out some more.
Yeah. I think it was slightly more. I heard somebody talking about it when I was like, oh, maybe I should do it. I'm like, I got too much to paint. So I stopped paying attention.
Now, Owen Branham was the terrain maker at this stage of the time in the studio.
Yeah.
So he did all the terrain, like all the Necromunda terrain, all the later 40K terrain and that kind of stuff.
I love it.
Now, this I believe is from the terrain modeling book. So you had like Nigel and you had other people contributing on how they make their simple type terrain that out of sort of stuff you can buy from your $1 shops and that kind of thing, or stuff from your hobby shops.
Yeah.
To make really simple, effective terrain pieces that you didn't have to be an expert terrain maker, but
or drop $400
or drop $400.
Yep. Because some of the new stuff coming out like looks great, but I just look at it and I'm like, whoa, like that's a lot.
But then the uniqueness of the terrain is gone. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
So yeah, there's been a few exceptions where some things may be just impossible to construct or make, and you need help with 3D printing or through a MDF supplier or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But this sort of stuff you can make easily,
And I think, what you're saying too about just being able to get the feel and the vibe and, it's yours, right? Mm-hmm. When you're battling on it, when people come over, you have those memories on that, that last stand on the wall that, is at your house, which is kind of cool. And I like that playing at the shop. We got to do some of this stuff and just, make, scatter terrain and table terrain for the kind of the in-store gaming, which was fun, but a lot of it was busting the white dwarfs off the shelf, and kind of copying some of the stuff, breaking down the cardboard using the supplies that we had, and being able to show people who were there like what you're doing and this is how you do it, I think made that aspect of the hobby much more accessible than I feel it is now, where if you're somebody who's news coming in, if you don't have 3D printing as a side hobby that you have, that part's just inaccessible, whereas this I think is like, oh yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, and I like fantasy terrain is probably easier to build than 40k terrain. Where 40k terrain has this kind of different kind of complexity to it. If you want to have the same kind of style of terrain as the White Dwarf articles did, it's a whole different level. Whereas fantasy, you can get away with a lot of rough-looking terrain that looks appropriate for it. You know what I mean? Like you can have sort of broken walls and rough-looking textured surfaces and that kind of thing. But 40k had that sort of real, obviously it's manufactured kind of look to it, and everything is very much perfect in scale and size and that kind of stuff.
I think the 40k there were a lot of like packaging things, gum packs that you open up and just spray paint black, and they look like generators and stuff like that. So I think one of the advantages of having so much like plastic packaging is that there's a lot of it that can be used for 40k, in a positive way. But I think the fantasy stuff, there's a lot more on trees and fences and walls that are more natural and less industrial. So real easy to get going that way.
Yep.
That's those true, core boxes.
Which one's your favorite, mate? Which one's your favorite?
Vansar. I started with Escher. It was the first one, but like Vansar was the one that I played the most through the leagues. And then when I got back into painting, kind of picked it up 10 years ago or something like that, wanted to get back into it. Delac was the first one. I just, busted them out because I always thought that trench coat look was such a fun, the bald goggle wearing trench coat dudes were great.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, you're trying to track down a House Escher to get into this?
There's actually a guy here in Japan selling one that Paul showed me a link to.
Nice.
Which is amazing. So that's, you do find them every now and again, but yeah, one day. I'm not in a rush. I've got one miniature here, so I have to paint that up for the next challenge on our Discord or something like that. And
fun.
If I really get into it, I'll probably have to try to track down a gang at some point. Now, we've got an epic article by Ian Pickstock and Adrian Wood. So this looks like it features the Space Marines, and I'm thinking orcs.
All that art.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, John Blanche art's amazing for epic.
So great.
Yeah. So a lot of artillery pieces here. It's got a Reaver Titan battle group and 3 Thunderhawk gunships. So that's quite an amazing array of heavy gear here. So we've got some like a Mega Garget as well. So it looks pretty cool. I love all the terrain. Now, the terrain, I didn't actually realize they made all this stuff for Epic, for orcs and that kind of thing. So it's cool looking back at those issues now recently and discovering all this terrain and thinking, wow, that's cool. I need to really try to make something similar to that at some point. That'd be a really cool hobby project.
Oh, yeah. Well, and with Epic, I think, the smaller scale seems like it would be able to knock out a fair amount of it a lot more quickly.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. And you can make a lot more ruin type buildings and that kind of thing. It's only the archways and that kind of stuff would be a little bit more technical.
Yep.
Making those all Gothic arches and that kind of stuff. But yeah, doing ruins and that kind of thing, it's not too difficult. And if it's all about time, isn't it? It's all about time and how we manage our time in our hobby. And but I really want to do some more terrain stuff.
Well, again, I think the biggest way to elevate your game is with terrain.
Yep.
I think you could have the nicest painted army, and if you're doing the books and the Pringles can and the cardboard cutout, it's not the same as like mediocre painted armies on like decent terrain.
Yep.
So I think just investing some of that hobby time is a real good way just to increase the enjoyment, I think, for both people.
Absolutely, mate. The terrain makes everything, I think.
Yeah.
But poor old Adrian got his ass whipped to 81-10. I mean, that's quite a thrashing in anyone's book, I think. So go home, do your homework on your orcs, mate. I know how you feel. I've been thrashed many times playing orcs. But yeah, 3 Reaver Titans. Yeah, that wouldn't go down too well. Looks like the Mega Gargants being smashed to pieces there.
You get that great smoke that they just put on for those shots. Oh, amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I still love this scale. Yeah, I can't shake myself off Epic. It's my go-to for 40k. Okay, so we got mail order White Dwarf.
Yep.
Get through all this because it's all, we've seen all this before, that kind of thing. But it's got all the prices there. This is the Australian prices, of course.
Here you go. Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah, Chaos Dwarves, the Citadel Journal, issue 14. So they're still alive and strong.
Yep.
Going well. Space Hulk, only $109.95 back in Australia in those days.
There you go. Get your rat skin gang, your box gang. Oh, man.
Yeah, wasn't too badly priced for like $35 for 8 figures. It's not too bad.
Right. Well, and was shipping so like crazy there? Because I've heard Australians just complaining about the pricing model right now.
Mate, back in those days, it wasn't really high at all. So it was quite reasonable back in those days. Now it's just gone crazy.
Yep.
Now it's just gone nuts. So we're just going to quickly skim through the catalog pages.
Yep.
To wrap up this issue, but we've got some really beautiful looking Redemptionist here from Necromunda.
Yep.
The Reaver Titans, the classic Jezgood and Reaver Titans, awesome Titans, can never be replaced in their design. They're so cool.
Great minis.
Wonderful looking Gargants from Kev Adams, of course. More Reaver Titan goodness. More like I was like a double up here in the pages.
Yep.
Imperial Guards.
That's how they're padding that number. I love that Power Fist guy with the sword slung over his shoulder. Such a good model.
He's even got a bit of a gut too. I like the breastplate. It's quite good. I like that one. More Imperial Guard guys. We're going to look at some Space Marines here, of course. All the different variants of armor they went through.
Yep.
In particular, favorite armor, mate, that you like?
I always the beaky ones I always thought were fun, and some of the real old school ones that they did. But I was never as into the Space Marines. I collected some stuff, never got it. But Necromunda was always kind of my go-to for the 40k universe. And then the fantasy I went kind of a little nutty on, but
sure.
Yeah. Yep. Wood Elves were where it started for me there. And here we go.
Yeah, mate, here we are.
Yep.
So, and the thing I love about the old models is there are so many variants. So that's at 12 different variants of Spearmen. That's amazing. Like, you don't get that anymore. You don't get that kind of variation in. Of course, the one's based off maybe 3 three variants based off one model or whatever, but still you had the individuality that you don't see so much now.
Yeah, I had one whole unit with cloaks, just using the cloak minis, and then one with the no cloaks.
Cool.
So I mean, there was so much. And the commands, that went through the different, toppers, so you could even get subtle variations if you had multiples.
Okay, now we've got a nice eagle here as well. Giant eagle, I should say. The War Dancers from Gary Morley. And the beautiful, Durthu.
Yeah.
By Trish Morrison.
So great. I love all of those tree men.
Monster Girl.
That she did.
Yeah, they were brilliant, mate. Honestly, they were just awesome. I love it. I love
she's got some new stuff that she sculpted. She did some new tree men for her own company that looked really amazing too.
Yep. She's back into business now, and she's doing stuff for various people. So go and check out her Facebook group. It's Trish the Monster Girl, and I think she's on Instagram as well.
Yep.
Go and check out what Trish is doing. So here we go. Here's the Wood Elf book. It's going to be out very soon.
Oh, so good.
Once you see this issue, so you can go and get your own copy. But like you say, mate, I forgot about it. It's 4th edition. Of course, it's the tail end of 4th edition. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Battle Magic and that classic one. And then up there on the vertical, those trees in the archway that the tree men are coming out with, the runes inscribed on the outside and all up in the middle. I just that I think captured my imagination so much, reading the lore, like you could just see kind of this magical woods. I fell in love with it. And this cover, the dryads, the archers, the everything, just top notch.
Yep. No, it's really cool, isn't it? It's a nice way to end this issue, I think, seeing that nice bit of terrain and all these wonderful orc and goblins versus the wood elves, as it should be.
Yep.
Yeah, beat some pointy ears. But Jay, it's been really good to sit down and talk to you, mate, finally.
You too.
You're also a member of our Discord community, and thank you very much for your contributions and input there, mate. And I really enjoyed covering this issue with you.
Same. Great chat.
Thanks again, mate. Take care, and catch you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to go and check out our podcast, the Herohammer Fanzine, our other guests talking about their first White Dwarves, and please consider becoming a Patreon. All the links in the show notes below. And thank you very much for watching this episode of My First White Dwarf, and see you again next time.